Sarah, beautiful, beautiful. We're going to record in. And one note here, this is an administrative note to start with. We will not be allowing otters or automatic recording coming in from others, otter pilots or whatever their recording things are. We will give you the recording after this event, so we'll email that out tomorrow along with our first event recording. So just so you know, we won't have you won't be able to record it on your automated appointment recorder. All right. How are we doing? Keep popping the answers in the chat. Take a look in the chat. We're looking for where are you from? Where are you coming in from? What is your top archetype? And what are you looking to gain today? And then we're going to get started. And I'm also going to bring on, there we go, Cape Cod. Kathleen is the first archetype. Just kidding. I think I'm funny, but I know my husband says I'm funny. Gallup, New Mexico, amazing. How to balance with other archetypes. What else we got? Cape Cod family. London, Ontario, fire and wood. Fishers, Indiana, 70% wood. Naples, Florida, and metal. Truro, earth. Marlborough, Massachusetts, air. Earth, wind, and fire. That's why, did anybody get the song we played that we started with? Earth, wind, and fire, right?
Michael did.
Well, I hope so. I hope so. It's good. It's all good. Okay. So while you are popping in the chat, we're going to get started here. So keep putting in the chat, where are you from? What's your top archetype? And what would you like to get out of this? So if you haven't done the assessment yet, this is your invitation to do the assessment. Many of you have been exposed to this before. Maybe it's through Tony Robbins, maybe it's through Carey's work before. But if you haven't done the assessment, get to know this assessment. It's fantastic. Okay, so I am so happy to be on here again. We did this earlier this month, Carey and I did, and we just can't seem to get enough of the archetypes, and I can't get enough of Carey's work. So here we are again, we are back, and thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you participating in this work because I personally believe that this will make a difference in your life. If it makes a difference in your life, then it's going to make a difference for those around you. If your positive impact impacts those around you, that ripple effect happens. And we want and need, I think, more connection in this world. Would you agree with that? That we need a little more connection in this world? Yeah, huh? Okay, awesome stuff. Amazing. And we're going to get some more people in here. There we go. All right. So if you haven't met me before, my name is Carey Schneider, and I run a mastermind called the Empowered Team. And some of our Empowered Team members are in here today. This is our normal Empowered Team call, but it's extra special today because our guest is Carey Davidson, and because we've opened it up to other people as well. We don't normally do that. So thank you so much for being our guests. And thank you so much to Carey for being our special guest. I have a background in high performance sport, so I've been coaching high performers in sport and business for over 25 years. I am an expert in consulting and leadership development and culture creation in businesses, as well as leadership and ethics in AI. I have a free podcast called the Empowered Team Podcast, and we specialize in self-mastery for leaders. And that's part of how Carey and I got closer with each other. So if you haven't met Carey before, she's the author of this incredible book, The 5 Archetypes. And she's also the founder of Turnisol and co-founder, I believe, of Turnisol for Kids. So if anybody has kids out there, there's an amazing kids version of the assessment as well. We'll pop that link in the chat. Carey and I, just to give you this backstory, Carey presented at a Tony Robbins relationship, a very exclusive special relationship event back in 2021. And I saw her present, And my husband, Paul, and I did her assessment, and it changed our relationship. It changed our dynamic with each other, and it helped us have more grace and space for each other. My husband is a very strong human being. I'm a very strong human being, and we understood so much more about where and why we were clashing. And it was through Carey's work and her assessment. And then 2 years later, we did another relationship trip, and there was more work with Dr. Stephen Cohen, her co-founder of Turn Us All for Kids. And we learned a little bit more. And I was lucky enough to see this post on LinkedIn where she was doing some research for a beta program, and she was researching from people some information. And I signed up. I'm like, yes, anything I can get more of the 5 archetypes, I'm in. Immediately, I'm in. And so I did the research stuff that she was doing. And then I thought, well, she'd be amazing to have on the podcast. And it was one of our most listened to podcasts. People love the information about the 5 archetypes. So we'll pop the link to that podcast in here as well, so you can listen in on more of the behind the scenes and the deeper dives that Carey and I have done. So that's just a little bit about how we got together. And then this came about when every once in a while, probably every 6 months or 8 months, I'll invite a guest into our mastermind. And I thought, what better person to have? It's Carey Davidson. And so that's why she's here tonight. And some of you know that, and you can probably hear that I got sick over the last 24 hours. And I also lost a very close family friend just a few days ago. And so the temptation was to reschedule this event. And I considered that, and I chose not to, because it's work like this that really helps us connect with ourselves and connect with others and give us the tools that really help us connect with others, heal ourselves, understand ourselves better, give ourselves what we need, give others what they need. So I chose to continue forward. And so thank you for being here with us. And Carey, thank you so much for being here with us as well, because this is so amazing.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Anything that you want to add in there? I know I didn't do you justice in terms of your introduction, but I want to give you a chance to add anything.
Yeah, I mean, that was beautiful. And you know, I think I would say I specialize in helping people get unstuck. We get stuck in these patterns and don't know why the same thing keeps happening to us, even when we're doing all the right things. And it happens in our workplaces, it happens in our love relationships, happens in our own thoughts. And so the 5 archetypes is a way to kind of look at the the unconscious and the hidden dynamics underneath all of that stuff, unearth it, pun intended, and realign it so that it works for us. But it's not the natural way you would think to solve problems. It kind of asks you to do something a little bit different. So we'll kind of dive into that.
I love that. Okay, that's a teaser if I ever heard one. All right, so here's what we're going to do tonight. This is why you need your notebooks and your pens. So first of all, I want you to know that Carey has a beta program that's free, and you will have the opportunity to join that if you would like. And I have, as you can see, a group mastermind as well, and a free podcast. You'll have the opportunity to partake in those if you would like. We're going to pop those links in the chat now and then pop them in the chat later. What we're going to do is we'd like you to have your camera on if possible. We understand there are circumstances that doesn't work for. We'd like you to have a notebook, and we'd like you to engage with the chat as much as possible, because this is where we're going to start to use some of the answers to do the workshop. And some of you may get the opportunity to get coached live if you volunteer and put your hand up. If you do get coached live, please come with a very specific example of what you want to get coached on, not generalities, not just a broad kind of open-ended question, but rather a very specific thing that's going on in your life if you're willing to share. And to get started, and we're going to get Carey to outline. We've got a Carey and a Carey. How confusing is that for everyone? You must love it. We're going to get Carey to outline a little bit about each of the 5 archetypes. I think most of you know the 5 archetypes in some form or another, but she's going to do a quick outline. If you want to dive more into that, you've got the podcast and you've got our first recording that we did earlier in the month. So she'll do a quick outline of that, and then we're going to dive into workshopping in 3 spheres of influence: self, relationships, and career mission. If we get through all of those, we'll do some coaching. If we're not getting through all of those, we'll still save some time for some coaching, and we'll just do 2 of them. So let's dive in. I'm going to pass the mic to Carey, and she's going to give us a quick little synopsis of each of the 5, and then we're going to go into the sphere of influence of self.
Sweet. So the 5 archetypes are fire, earth, metal, water, and wood. We all have all 5 of these in us in different amounts, and they influence how we connect or disconnect, how we get stuck or how we flow. And I'm going to give you a little bit about each. And because most of you said you were curious about how to balance and connect, I'll say a little thing about how each of them takes away from balance and connection, thinking that we're actually adding to it. So fire's gift to the world is joy and hope and optimism. Fire's stress states are panic and anxiety when they fear loss of love or loss of connection. And the way that fires think that connection works when they're stressed is deep intimacy fast and scattered and erratic and just too silly sometimes. And so fire will give that, but think about for yourself, how does that make you feel? Does that make you want to connect to someone or not? It's different depending on your relationship to fire. Then you have earth. Earth people, their gifts to the world are unity and empathy and caregiving, taking care of each other. Their stress states are worry, overwhelm, obsessive thinking, becoming inert, not being able to move or make a decision because they're so worried in their mind. The way that they're going to want to connect when they feel stressed is over talking, over giving, over caring, taking care of every single thing for you and slowing down and talking. So think about how that helps or hinders a relationship. Then you have metal. Metal's gift to the world is beauty and perfection and determining what's valuable. Their stress states are over-focusing on the details and losing sight of the big picture, or over-focusing on the past and losing sight of the future. The way that they connect when they're stressed in relationships is really to put up impenetrable boundaries and be very specific and very clear and have very high expectations of themselves and others. And so think about how does that interact with your energy when you want to connect with someone or be in a relationship? Then we have water. Water's gift to the world is deep meaning, peace, reflection. Their stress states revolve around over isolation, needing to be alone, thinking so much and avoiding eye contact even or talking. The way that they like to interact is when they feel like it. It's kind of like, they take their time, they pause, they really think things through before they engage. So think about, from your perspective, how does that feel if someone's not right there when you want them to be right there, rather they're on their own slow, reflective journey and process of when they want to connect. So then you have wood. Wood's gift to the world is freedom and risk-taking and trailblazing, knowing that you can overcome any obstacle. Their stress states revolve around anger when they feel confined or overly criticized. Wood engages the fastest of the 5. They're all about speed and execution. And so think about, how does that interact with the way that you want to engage when you want to have a relationship with someone? How does that impact your balance and your heart? So that's a quick and dirty of the 5.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, before we move on, any questions on those before we go forward? And if you have questions along the way, please feel free to pop your hand up. Okay, so have anyone here, have you heard of the 3 spheres of influence? Yeah, so self, relationships, and career and mission. They're basically the most simple buckets that we can put most of what's going on in our life in these 3 spheres of influence. And at different times in our life, you might have this tiny sphere of influence around self because you've got this big sphere of influence around relationships and this really moderate or big sphere of influence around career and mission. That might sound like a working mother or someone like that. Someone in university maybe got this big self sphere of influence and big relationships, but small career and mission sphere of influence. So the point here is that we're going to focus on self right now. And if you know your top archetype, just keep that in mind. But we would like you to answer this question. So take a moment and answer, how do you care for yourself in the midst of an unexpected stressful situation? And there's a second question, what strengths do you consistently rely on in times of uncertainty? I'm going to pop these in the chat and then answer them in your notebook. And then we're going to have you share some of that, but in a very specific way in just a moment. So here are the questions in the chat. How do you care for yourself in the midst of an unexpected stressful situation? What strengths do you consistently rely on in times of uncertainty? We're going to give you about a minute, maybe 2 minutes to write these things down, reflect on these questions, and then we're going to come right back and ask for some answers in a very specific way. Oh, I know that some of you might be feeling that's not enough time. I understand. It's my wood. I'm going to push you through this. This is how I roll. Carey knows this. She's like, you are so wood. You are so metal. She just laughs at me and watches me. Okay, hold on, hold on. Todd, this is great. Hang on, or Brenda, whoever's answering this right now. What we're going to ask for is first, I want the woods. Whoever is wood number 1, woods answer the question in the chat. So whoever is wood as your primary, please pop a one-liner as to whatever one of your answers were, whatever you feel comfortable with, nothing crazy, but pop your answers in the chat. So for me, I'm wood. And if I were to answer this, how do I care for myself in the midst of an unexpected stressful situation? I take action. I'm all action, 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 action. And then the second question, what strengths do you consistently rely on in times of uncertainty? My workouts, my systems, my routines. Okay, so we've got London, she's a wood, I think. Hike, bath, exercise, cry, meditation, call my BFF. Right on, right on. And you can see, and Carey's gonna correct me because in case I need correcting here. But that that hike right off the first one, that screams wood. No, am I right?
Uh, yeah, movement. And
Yes.
water, like bath is water. So water nourishes wood. Exercise, hike, it's wood, wood, water. And cry is fire. So like if you think about the two natures that come next to wood, those are the ones that are like nurturing you and coping, helping you cope. And so London is doing both. She's doing the wood, she's doing the water, and she's doing the fire. Um, yeah, and number two is all wood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we've got another one here, ground my energy with heart brain coherence. Stay curious. Clearly, she's done a lot of work. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Action. So Peter's got action. What else we got? Curious and observant. See, those sound to me, tell me I'm my little less like wood.
Yeah, but it's water.
Okay, using water.
Yeah, so you're seeing a lot of wood taking care of themselves by the one thing they're primary, but also those two natures that come right next to them. Those are our soothing natures, the ones that come right before and right after. And so once we do that thing, that first thing we do, which like, yeah, like you could, like London was like, hike, go outside. And Carey, you said, go into action. So like the first thing is usually going to be around the primary. And then we spread out just a little bit into those safe zones that support us, the ones that come right before and right after. And so that's what you're seeing here.
Okay, this is so good. So if you are wood, or if you have a spouse, a child, a good friend who is wood number one, take note of what they tend to do. So the second one we want to ask same questions, but we want let's go, what should we go? What's next? We'll go fires. Fires are next. So fires, answer the question as a fire. What would fire, as you as fires, what do you do in those scenarios? If you feel you're in an unexpected, stressful situation, what do you do to take care of yourself? What strengths do you consistently rely on in times of uncertainty? So if you're fire, answer that. So oh, we got some fires in the house. Great fires. Think for a moment, stop myself and think for a moment. Wow, because they recognize that they would go, or maybe like, I don't know, you tell me.
Yeah. So I love that. Stop and think, but listen to why. I love this, Jennifer. I stop and think for a moment and get myself some distraction. So fire, we're distracted by a puppy, a cute puppy, a cute baby, someone telling a joke. We're like, we're here, we're there, we're on, we're off. And so fire like uses the term distraction to not have to feel the discomfort. And in that space, we can sometimes not sit in our discomfort for long enough to fix the problem. We'll repeat it because we like the distraction.
Interesting. So good.
Yeah.
So good. Okay, Carey, I love yours. Eat
Eat
something. Talk
something.
to it. I eat
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, I go right into earth. Like for me, I'll have panic. I mean, I feel it. It's like I can't escape it. But to overcome it is right into earth, which is my coping mechanism. We cope with the nature that comes right after our primary. And that's me to a T.
Excellent. Love it. Connect with myself and connect with God. Would that be going into water for this person, or going into nature, go to the beach, listen to music?
Yeah, I mean, connecting with myself, um, that's somebody who I would say Adriana has done some work. Because for fire to be, yes, I'm seeing a nod. For fire to be able to, in a big uncomfortable moment, to connect with themselves and connect to higher spirit, um, it's it's hard. It's someone who's practiced that. Fire scatters under stress, and so that's a muscle you gotta like go to the gym and build a lot of times every day, not just once a day. So congratulations to you. 3 times a day. Yeah.
Great work. Any other ones you want to comment on here?
Yeah, I like this one, Tarot, Ashley Martin. So fire is naturally intuitive and is really interested in the spiritual realms. Naturally more interested and believes in it more than the lower types. So I mean lower in the circle. So going to tarot, I would say I would always guess that's a fire person. Um, uh, daily sleep, nutrition, going for walks. Yeah, so Roberta looks like very well-rounded, like she's been doing work. Um, knows how to like access all the parts, trust things that will work out. My warrior, my fire, my determination, my yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's what's interesting is that I have to say fire is the most complex of the five and can have the most painful experience of stress physically. It hurts our bodies. It's really intense. And so fire, you either got to do the work or you're going to feel pain. And so some of us in this room have been through some experiences in life already. It looks like we're not children anymore. And so we know we're either going to feel the pain or we have to really get into that space of doing the right thing at the right time for the right reasons, with the right people, or we're going to just naturally veer off into that uncomfortable space. So it looks like you've got a lot of really high functioning humans in the room.
But there's some nods there when you're describing certain things. There's like, uh-huh, uh-huh.
Yeah,
Are
I've had a conversation with a metal person once recently where I said something about emotional pain, and she says, I take offense to using the word pain to describe emotions. She said that it really doesn't honor the fact that there are people laid up in a hospital in real pain. And I'm like, oh, like it never occurred to me before that the metal primary doesn't realize that fire has horrible physical pain when an emotion hits. Um, and that we deal like several times a day. It's just kind of, we get used to it. And
mm-hmm,
so I find that really interesting. So I think fire is very motivated to do something about it because it hurts. It's like
mm-hmm.
yeah, so it's interesting to me.
Very, very interesting. I think of one of my kids who's fire number one, and yeah, it explains a lot. Definitely empathetic too.
Yeah.
How about our Earths? Can we get some of those answers from our Earths? Any Earths in here who? Oh, Earth is okay. Michael's an Earth number one. Go for a ski or bike ride or exercise. Have some fun. Reassurance
Yeah.
that it will all work. Faith, stay calm, stay strong, connect with a friend. Beautiful. Any other Earths? Any thoughts on some of those?
Yeah. So I love this, like, so connect with a friend, um, and normally put my well-being aside and help others. Like that's very earthy. Trying to fix the situation is very earthy. Reassurance is earthy. What is the earth? What is the actual look outside? What does the earth do for us? It reassures us that if we decide to put our foot on it, it's going to be there. Like earth is always there. And it's always there holding us, taking care of us. And so what are you seeing some of these, people saying is like connecting with a friend, taking care of things, fixing the problem. And we had Michael, who was going out, exercising, having fun. Also, fun is fire. And so if back to that cycle, you have what surrounds earth is fire and metal. So, so fire is fun, fire is connecting with people. But then we have, let's see, breathe, realign, focus. That's all metal. So that feels really good to earth people. And Todd, withdraw, retreat, and stay busy. That's can sometimes, and I mean, I guess it depends. It can sometimes be seen as watery to withdraw and retreat. But when earth is kind of confronted with a loud energy, like a wood energy, sometimes it will cause them to go into their shell. And because they don't know how to interact with a challenge very well. They avoid conflict. And so sometimes in the avoidance, they can go into a shell. Before they then start doing the other things to, okay, now I got to fix it. Now I got to connect with people. So.
And we've got breathe and realign with purpose and focus on strength.
Yeah, that's metal. Breathe. The breath is metal. Realign, purpose. All that stuff is metal. And that's what soothes earth, because earth comes out through metal. The same way I eat. That because I'm fire, I come out and get nurtured by, I cope through earth. Earth copes through metal, which is all this very specific organizing something, breathing, realigning, attaching to my higher purpose, all that. Breaking it down into smaller pieces. That's like metal, structure it, like little pieces that I can actually deal with, are cutting it up, metal scissors. But connect and vent to someone first. Raina is saying that's earthy, talking, connecting, not feeling disconnected or abandoned. I need my people so that I feel safe.
Very cool. Very, very cool. How about the metals out there? Any metals that have the answers to these ones? Okay, so Lynn is metal number 1. Gretchen is metal number 1 as well. So Lynn, getting quiet, get outside, reflect, assess, pause before reacting, determine what needs to be done and do it. Gretchen, breathe, look at the data, work out, train my dogs, figure out how to get it done. Action. Okay, we got some metals. Meditate, get out in nature, breathe.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys see this, but for me, this is like, yep, right on point. No, pun intended again. Okay, metal on point. But getting quiet, getting still, reflecting, getting outside. This is watery stuff. Like just go outside and be in nature. Separate yourself from the problems. Time and space. Taking time and space is water. And so what comes right after metal is water. That's how they cope. The breath is a metal behavior. Look at the data. Only metal does that. That's like, the facts. Look at the facts. Fire is too freaked out to sit still and long enough to look at facts because they're all like, confused. But meditate is water. Faith that everything will work out. That's like there's knowing that everything is okay. Like this is like that metal water stuff. Strength. Yeah, well, metal, how strong is metal? We use it to be the backbone of a building, of like 100-story building. It's the metal, rods that keep it straight. It is strong. It is not going to bend. So no, like really metal tapping back into the fact that I am strong. I am solid. I am unbending. Like this is not going to break me. That mindset. Yeah. The only one that confuses me a little bit is action, Georgia. But you know, that could be someone who has a lot of wood in them too. It could be you know, it could be you just got balance, and you know, like you're going to probably have a metal moment of pause, and then taking action is what I would guess.
Very great. Okay, we're gonna go to water. Are there any waters as number one in this room? Are there any waters as the number one? I think there were one, maybe. And this is where any waters, number one waters. This is where Carey might comment on this because this is what you're finding over and over, where there's a small percentage of waters.
Yeah. Well, water likes to work alone. Water is not likely to come to a group Zoom event, as you can see. They're not likely to come to a public group event. I mean, if you think back to, you know, where that relationships event with Tony, where I had each of the different types stand up. And the fewest number of people that were represented there were water people. Water relishes in their own imagination. So under stress, they're likely to get quiet, to think about it, to take time, to walk away, and not to talk to people. Maybe go outside, maybe do a little bit of physical movement. You know, they might go into wood. They might go into a little bit of action, but not too fast. They see frustration as a sign to slow down even more. To like, let me see how this is going to unfold. Whereas the other ones of us, we haven't like, oh, this doesn't feel good. I don't want it to continue feeling like this. So I got to do something. Something has to be done. I have to figure it out. I have to fix it. Water sees a big issue, and they just sit back. They become Buddha. So, you know, that's kind
Should
of,
drive the woods and metals crazy.
yeah. Yeah. So yeah, exactly, Carey. I love that you said that, because I want, like, from a relationships perspective, everyone was curious, you know, how do I balance? How do I connect? How do I relate to these? You might get your buttons pushed by people who don't react, who don't respond quickly, who like ghost us or something. And think about, you know, it could be that they're water, and that they actually, the experience of acting quickly is so painful for them. It's as painful for them to act quickly as it is for us that they're not acting quickly.
That I think is so important. I hope that people are seeing, I hope you're seeing that in the different people's responses and how Carey is articulating this, that it's just as painful for you to blank as it is for this person not to blank. So it's understanding that antithesis. Peter, can I hang on just until we get through the next one? Thanks. Okay, so we're going to go into relationships, and we're going to ask two specific questions. We'll take about a minute or two to do that. So write your responses down. And the questions are these. One, how do you balance your needs with the needs of others in high pressure situations? How do you balance your needs with the needs of others in high pressure situations? And think of a time when a personal or professional relationship was strained. What strategies did you use to navigate this challenge? I'm going to pop these in the chat. How do you balance your needs with the needs of others in high pressure situations. And think of a time when a personal or professional relationship was strained. What strategies did you use to navigate this challenge? Just a line or two for yourself. I'm going to pop some music on again. Love this. Let's start with since there's no waters, let's go backwards. Let's start with the metals. So Gretchen's a metal. I listen and ask questions, but I'm not very patient. Okay. Is there wood high up there too? Awesome. And Todd, clarity and listening, put them first, but stay centered on myself. Todd, what's your primary? Out of curiosity. We got that one. Okay, other metals. Can other metals pop the answer in there for these two on the relationships? How do you balance your needs with the needs of others in high pressure situations? Ask for their needs or articulate mine and seek a middle ground. Gathering information. Any others? Other metals? Okay, let's go to what was before metals. Was it earth? How
You want
about
me
earths? What do you got earths? What do earths tend to do? Make sure they're taken care of and then take care of mine. Is that very earth, Carey?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, and the metal, it's interesting. Metal can tend to see things in black and white. In the what are yours, what are mine? And in the person who said not very patient, listen and ask questions, but not very patient. There's a lot of discomfort inside of metal when there's a disagreement, because metal doesn't want to make a mistake. Sometimes needs to be right. And in that space, they know that it's the right thing to do to ask what the other person needs. And so they're doing the right thing, but inside there's some cringy going on. And so it can feel disingenuous to the people, the other person in the conversation. And that can lead to some ongoing imbalance or disharmony. So yeah, not very patient. But I always seek communication, make sure we both fully understand each other and find a compromise. Yeah, so like if you look at Georgia, not very patient, but seeking, like, right, that's inside there's this imbalance. Like I know that I'm doing the right thing, but inside I'm not liking it. And so that's kind of what I'm seeing happen in the metal answers. Making sure we both fully understand each other, and a compromise. It's like there's a steely sense of clamping down to, like, even though I know I have to have this conversation because it's the right thing to do, inside my head I know the right thing, and I'm pissed that I have to give in. That's kind
That's
of
my husband.
yeah.
That's my husband. Metal number one. That's so my husband.
Yeah, expressions on it. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, how about we've got fires. How about fires? Any fires with these relationship answers?
Mm.
Prioritize the other person's need at the expense of my own. Pacify, give in. Oh, interesting. So Kathleen is a fire, Carey is a fire. Don't say what I think, says Carey.
Yep. Because it's always wrong. No, I don't mean it that way. When I'm in a an uncomfortable interaction, my fire mind is so fast. It scatters so fast. It can say things like, I don't, should I tell you what I think? It can say things like, "Oh, I can't believe he did that again," or "Why didn't they clean up their room?" Or "Seriously, no one emptied the dishwasher," right? It can shoot off all this stuff. And in those moments, I know that if I say that darn thing, what good is that going to do? It's not going to do any good. And so for me, my work is to not say that intense thing that just came up, but rather calm down, wait until I'm not having an emotional reaction about the topic, and then have a conversation. And then say later, like, "Hey, can we come up with a better plan for dishwasher emptying? Can we come up with a better plan for laundry?" And then I avoid all that dumb stuff I would have catalyzed with what I might have said. So,
Awesome, awesome, awesome. I love those examples. They're so good. And then more fires here.
yeah.
Connect with them, see their needs, ask questions, accommodate my other's needs as a team worker.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, yeah, like fire wants everyone to feel joy. Fire says yes and they can't say no, because they just want everyone to be happy. And they personally don't, their biggest fear is loss of love or loss of connection. And so they don't want to create crisis or interpersonal issues.
Ashley says that they get a little victimy. Is that not wanting to cause any problems? Is that what contributes to the victimy part of it?
So fire can't tolerate uncomfortable emotions in themselves or other people. And so what happens is that when you live a life where uncomfortable emotions really cause pain, you can very easily slip into a pattern of blaming someone else's uncomfortable emotions for your pain. So he yelled at me. He criticized me. He cried in front of me. He whatever. Like these uncomfortable emotions happened to me. And then you caused me pain. So now I'm victimized by someone else's uncomfortable emotions. So fire can keep you entertained. You might notice like fire faces around you. Fire faces come at you with a big smile right away. They're always friendly. And it's an unconscious way to make sure you don't have any uncomfortable emotions around me that I then have to handle.
Gotcha.
If I do, then I'm a victim.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. How about wood? Any woods here for answering the questions on relationships? So what we have in terms of balancing the needs with the needs of others in high pressure situations. and a time where personal or professional relationship was strained, and what strategies did you use to navigate this challenge? And we have newly assessed wood, Peter. Prioritize mine is I'm probably right as to my way is to everyone's benefit. So because he's right, that's going to be his way is going to benefit everyone. Listening to find common wins so I can shape my language to match their alignment. Resolve others' issues first, but remain calm myself. Say what I want to say and move on. No time to waste.
Yeah.
Yep, would. Yep, I feel ya. Take time for me, exercising outside, meditation are my fave. How can I support you? Honest, open, respectful communication. Listen and evaluate. Very good. Any comments there, Carey?
Yeah. Well, I love, Sunny's no time to waste. It's very like that's definitely a wood. Wood gets attached to time. Like, is this worth my time? Are you wasting my time? Is she gonna get to the point? They're on a timer. It's like, let's move already. And the idea of Peter, you know, Wood can get addicted to believing their plan is the only plan, and that if everyone would just get with the plan, everything would be better. But we lose sight of, like, why are humans on this planet? Why are we here? Are we here to get with the program and all move quickly? Or are we all here to learn how to grow and how to be together and how to interact and care for each other and learn our own lessons? So do we give other people an opportunity to learn their own lessons and build their own wood energy and become their own leaders if all we're doing is telling them the plan so they don't have to figure it out themselves? And if they just do what I say, even though it could be 100% right, and usually wood does have a great plan. That's what they're born, really good at. But then other people don't get the opportunity to build their own wood energy and come up with their own plan and do their own failing so that they can feel what it feels like to get it wrong, and then have that internal knowledge of, like, ooh, I don't want to make that mistake again. And then you're a leader. Then you're building all these other leaders, and you have sleep assurance. You have a whole bunch of people at the office who can take care of stuff.
Mhm.
Then you don't have to.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, I heard it, Carey. I heard it. I heard it all. Okay.
Okay, how do you feel about getting a couple people getting coached here? If people are brave and want to volunteer for a little coaching, you feel good with that? Okay, so I want to remind everyone the thing that Carey has pointed to a number of times, and it's that we all have all archetypes within us. You've seen that in your results. And it's this ability to develop the ones that we're not as practiced in that sometimes what serves us the most. So let's, if you want to put your hand up to be coached, please do. I know Peter had first put his hand up, so I'm going to honor Peter, and then whoever has got their hand up next, we'll do that, and we'll try to get through maybe as many as 3 or 4 people with some quick coaching, because we want to try and get as many people as we can. And Adriana has raised her hand. Where did you go, Peter? I lost you. There you are. Hang on.
I'm here.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, the first thing I had actually was a question for Carey, and it helped me understand. And I don't know if I've got this worded right. I think I do. Is the archetypes a collection of responses on the assessment? Therefore, if you answer these kind of things, you're this. Therefore, this is a general guide of how you're going to answer other things. Or is the assessment driving to a deeper truth of an archetype that exists beyond the assessment? Does that make any sense whatsoever?
I'm not entirely sure, but I can try to answer it and tell me if I kind of hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
So these questions, there's 100 questions, 20 for each of the elements that correspond to and are weighted differently, but do correspond to the primary ways someone whose highest element is, is most likely to do that behavior more often. And so the outcome is not to pin you into a primary as much as it is to show the balance of the 5 within your nature, because they have very unique relationships. Your water has a very unique relationship to your fire, which then has a very unique relationship to your earth. And so what it allows me to do is see how you grow. It's like, it's the same as if you went for an acupuncture appointment and they took your pulses and they're like, oh, the liver is attacking the spleen, which is then not giving the lungs enough energy. So we need to quiet the liver, bring up the spleen. And then if I take your pulses again, everything's evened out. So basically your assessment results just give me enough information to tell me how to help you grow and change one specific thing that's bothering you. Rather than to pin you into a type thing, because it's not really, it's all it is, it's a healthcare model. Like, how do we take you from one state and move you to another? Because we're all unique and we all need different ways to grow. Like, your relationship to meditation is going to be totally different than mine. So if you tell me, if we both have the same problem, I might tell you to meditate a little bit, but I would never tell me to meditate. By looking at my assessment results and yours, I would see like, oh, you need this, Carey needs this, but they have the same exact problem.
Got it. And then the specific coaching thing then is, up until recently, I have been a benevolent dictator of a leader, and getting relatively okay-ish, Carey, you're not allowed to speak. We're getting relatively okay-ish results until I got to February, where I oversaw an absolute gong show of a disaster. And realized very emotionally, beautifully, painfully, financially expensively that this way isn't going to get me forward. So I'm now investing into the team, giving responsibility to the team, not even attending meetings that I used to manage to allow them to grow, but it still has like a Stockholm syndrome. It's much healthier. The company's doing better. Everything's going better. But I feel like, oh, I need to get back in there. But I don't want to get back in there because I'm like, hang on a second. I'm spending time with my kids and my family, and I'm doing cool stuff, and I'm making more money, and everything is much more awesome. But God damn it, I need to get back into that thing. Help.
What are your 5 scores?
As of now, I'm sorry, wood has catapulted up the list. I need to pick out your email. It was wood and fire at number 1 and number 2. Before it was fire and metal, I think it was. And now it's very, very different. Which I was surprised by how much it had changed. So now it is, I'm just picking up your email, because your new system doesn't have the results. You make me click so you can track me with a pixel. So now I need to click, and that's your fault. So now it is wood is 86.4, fire is 75, metal 63, water 56, earth 58.
Okay. So so with all of that wood and that fire, you're getting your self-fulfillment only through movement, only through momentum, only through winning, only through celebration, only through what feels like fun and movement. And everything else is much lower. Everything else in your own mind isn't fulfilling, because what is wood? Wood is time. Wood is it worth my time? Is it going to make me money? Are you moving fast? Are you following my plan? And you can, when you get too into that being the only thing to value, then all of a sudden you're going to feel like that stop start, like your brain knows better, but your body's so used to that being the only way to achieve value. And so so your lowest is water. And so what you're going to find when your highest is wood and your lowest is water, you're going to feel brittle. You're going to feel that. Imagine a tree that's not getting watered. It's going to break really easily in the slightest little bit of wind. And so the first thing I would say is to start nourishing yourself with some water. What literally, like there's Carey drinking, drink water. Get good sleep. Make sure those two things are happening. If they're not, work on them. The third thing I would do is give you a little easy meditation to do to stop that wood brain from believing that you need that in order to feel fulfilled. It's the belief that you need it that just needs to shift. And water, one little thing you can do is a water meditation, which is a listening meditation. Take anywhere from 10 seconds to however long you want to, and close your eyes at some point during the day and name the sounds you hear around you. Just name them. It gets your brain used to just noticing where you are and being present and just appreciating the present moment rather than getting caught up in I'm not moving.
That's hilarious. I once got, I used to have a thing that if it doesn't kill me and it's not addictive, the answer is yes. And I ended up on a 4-day meditation retreat. And for anyone that knows me, that is not me whatsoever. And that was exactly what they taught of tuning into something and then thanking the universe for the experience and then letting it go and doing it again and letting it go and doing it again. I went from the guy that could meditate for 8 seconds before I'm like, okay, I'm done, to being sitting there for 6 hours going, oh, I'm done. So it's quite confusing that you should say that. And if the universe could only just teach me a lesson once and I learned it, I would be super grateful.
Throwing it at you again. Get it again. Amazing.
Thank you, Carey.
Thank you. Thank you.
Carey.
Carey and
Both.
Carey.
Adriana, I think you were up, so come on down. Unmute yourself. There you go.
Good. Hi.
Hi.
This is amazing, Carey. I'm new to this and I'm just blown away right now. I learned so much about my relationship with my husband.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like I just did the test because you sent it to us, you know, you're going to be blown away. My husband is his wood and water, and my high is fire and wood. I'm 80% fire and I'm 79% wood. My lowest one is metal, 37%. My husband is, so he's his water wood, 75 and 72 for wood, but his highest is water. And you just said that water, he could put out my fire, but we also like clash because he's so chill, you know? And I'm like, give me something. I'm trying to talk to you. I'm going crazy here.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. You just like made, and we've been married for 27 years, so it's working. But anyways, he puts up with me. So, but yeah, he's very patient. But anyways, I'm learning a lot. And the other thing is I just started yoga like 3 weeks ago, and it's changed my life.
Yeah.
And then I just started with Tony Robbins last year, and I started doing this priming meditation, like this other kind of that he does meditation, a different kind. And that's changed my life too. So I've been working a lot for the last 1.5 years on myself. And so anyways, but my question to you is, my fire and wood is so high, but my metal is so low.
Mm-hmm.
How can I help myself here? It's because I started the RMT coaching with Tony Robbins, and every time I do coaching, I do 3 in a row, I am drained. I'm like, dying, you know, I gotta go do some yoga and meditation, you know?
Yeah. What's your water and earth numbers?
So my earth is 61.2 and my water is 59.4.
So you're kind of similar to some degree as Peter, like with those two, you're getting you have this belief that value in life is mostly or almost only, from wood and fire, fun and speed. And think about like, what does that remind? That reminds me of like an 18-year-old who just moved out of the house and can go to every party on the block and doesn't have to go to bed on time.
I know, that's me. That's me. I sit up late every night reading my books like crazy. The ones, for Tony, I'm like, Tony Robbins, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. Yeah. That's me. I love staying up late and having fun. That's me.
Yeah. So without any kind of structure, like think about what's a teenager, who just wants to have fun without any kind of rules. They're going to burn themselves out. They're going to get in trouble. They're going to do too much something. So that's this energy. Metal, wood and fire will naturally attack metal. We won't see it as valuable because it's not fun. It's a stick in the mud. It's all about the rules. It doesn't, it's like how we've always done things around here. It's not entrepreneurial. So like your own inner self will attack that part of yourself, but you will also naturally feel that way about people who are primary metal.
Yeah.
And so
Sure.
so some of the things that I would say to start, just notice when you're over wooding and firing. Just notice
Okay.
you value fun way too much. And when you value speed a little or winning a little, just notice. You're not doing anything wrong. Just pay attention to it. The more you pay attention to it, the easier it will be for you to start not giving it as much value.
Okay.
It'll naturally stop. But with your metal, the metal behavior I would suggest that you do to start building a little bit of a friendship with the metal in you is to create some daily ritual that you commit to doing the same time every day. Metal, one of the highest levels of metal is a ritual, and it can be really, really short. And it can be something that you can do wherever you are. So it doesn't have to be when you're home. So if you like connect in to a higher consciousness for a moment and have gratitude for something or someone in your life that was just awesome. And it could be as simple as your third grade teacher introduced you to watercolors. And now it's like a great hobby, and it can be different every day. It could be, thank goodness I found my left slipper. I've been looking all over for it. It could be anything, but create a ritual. It will start to structure your mind, and it'll start to loosen up the resistance you have to your own metal. And then you'll start to naturally create stopping points where you won't overwork and you won't overplay. You'll start to veer a little bit into doing the right thing at the right time at the right place with the right people for the right reasons, which is what the highest conscious of fire moves into when they can make friends with their own metal. And then you won't feel so burnt out.
Well, you're 100% right. You nailed it, because I just started, like I said, 1.5 years ago, and it's changed my life. And I've never been this happy that I can think of since I was a child. And I'm almost 50. And I feel so complete and so happy because I'm meeting my needs. And I have this ritual where I do my priming, I do my vision board. I have everything right here in front of me. It's accessible to me. I have my yoga mat, and then I just do my meditation. I do the Tony Robbins, like that breathing thing that he does. And then I connect with my heart. So I've been practicing for a while, and it does help me. But if I slip, I do feel it. Today was one of the, 3 times that I meditate today. I'm like, Adriana, you forgot to do this today, the breathing thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it'll help. And just keep
So good.
track of like, hey, when do I, yeah, like you said, when you forget, you feel it in your body.
Oh, definitely. How did I not drive my poor husband crazy?
Well, now you've got the archetypes, so now you know him better, you know you better.
True. True. Is there like something I should do? Do you recommend me doing, since this top one is water and wood, 75 and 72? Is there a suggestion?
Oh, for water and
Like how should I interact with him to not expect him to be like a certain way, or him to be able to be
Yeah.
around me, that kind of thing.
2 things. Don't demand everything you feel. Remember I wrote in the thing, like, don't believe everything I think. Don't believe everything you think. Like, let yourself think and feel all the things. It'll be like popcorn. It'll come up. And if it has to do with what you want him to do differently, pause, go to the bathroom, exhale, get distracted with something, and see if you still feel the same way in a half an hour. And can you say it in a
It's
more...
incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I literally been doing that. I'm not even kidding. Literally, I've been leaving the room because I call it sabotage. And so I leave the room, I come back, do something funny to break my pattern.
Yeah.
I've been getting trained by Tony, okay?
It's so good.
So I've been
Okay.
practicing for 2 weeks on doing this, what you just said. Pause. I leave the room because a poor guy, I'm about to go at him and I say no. And then I come back being funny and I just start having humor and having fun with them.
Yeah.
Beautiful. That's so good. I
Yeah.
love that. I love that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Adriana.
Thank you.
It's so great. I love this.
Thank
Michael, come on up. So we'll do Michael as the last one, and then we're going to do a final visualization. So Michael, what do you have?
Well, as you know, Carey, and yes, and Carey. No, Carey doesn't know. But yeah, so I'm an Earth, and I guess, yeah, I'd say that in my how do I decision making's been tough for me, taking action's been tough for me. Carey and I have been working on it, working with the Empower team, and I look at all these archetypes and I'm like, and I have to have everyone on a wall to try to actually remember what they all are to figure it all out or whatever. But um how do I, if you're an expert at seeing people and getting them unstuck, that's been, if I could look at myself and say, have I been feeling stuck in the last 2 years or a transition in my life and my career? Yes. So I'm here to be coached. I'm getting vulnerable. Here I am.
Awesome. Do you have your 5 different scores available?
Yeah, well, I took the test the first time, and it was Earth at 76.5, Fire 73.8, Metal 68.4, Wood 62.1, and Water at 58.5.
Okay. And so so can you give me an example of something or like a decision that's hard to make or an action that's hard to take?
Well, changing my career is one, or creating a new career. That is difficult for me, that's been a tough gig for me. It's been tough my entire lifetime because from when I started my career, I did it because it brought me to a place I loved, and it brought me to a place where I could do what I loved. But it fueled that for so long, and then that ran out. And it was just something that I never really was like. I just remember going to and from work, going, Michael, what are you going to do with your life? What are you going to do? How can you change your career or blah blah blah, right? But here I am in this position now where I am doing that, and it's tough. It's challenging for me. So there you go. I guess that's an example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So imagine when at the end of the summer when you've got the apple orchards are all ready, everything's ready and it's time to gather the fruit. And the earth people among us are the gatherers. They can, the same way we had the previous 2 people, they overvalue movement and their plan and getting things done and execution and not wasting their time. On the other end of the spectrum, we have Earth, which overvalues gathering. And if you think about like overvaluing gathering, what do? You're constantly bringing more stuff into your head, more ideas, more context, I'm not ready yet to take decisive action because I haven't gotten enough information yet. I'm gathering more apples and putting them more in my head.
Yes, that is for sure.
And so the place that you're going to always, as an earth person, overvalue is overgathering. And then lacking that dynamic tension that naturally exists in wood people to say, okay, I've got enough. Let me give it a shot. I don't need to practice forever. I don't need any more information. Let me go. I have enough. I have enough to go out and fail. Because failure is how I learn, that's the wood perception. And your wood energy attacks earth energy. So it's uncomfortable to imagine living like that. Doing something like that is just like cringy, because it's also correlated to people who don't want to be unified, because wood people are all about forward, individual, me winning. I'm thinking about myself, moving myself forward. How do I make this business better? How do I sell myself to like an amazing company to say like, I'm the kickest assest person for this job and you got to hire me. That's all very woody energy. And to the earthy heart, that feels rude. It's like, I don't want to take something away from someone else. So there's a few things at play that will hold an earth person back from just taking a chance and going outside and of that comfort zone of gathering. And so if you look at the resumes, the average resume of earth compared to wood, you're going to have earth people stay at jobs forever. And you're going to have wood that's like, I started this company, I sold it. I started this company, it failed. I went to this, I got bored. They clipped my wings at this company. I couldn't soar. I went to that company. So it's not everybody. It's not a hard and fast rule, but it's kind of like, it shows you the difference between earth likes to sit still, look outside. The ground, it doesn't move. It just sits there. And wood, a tree, is like always reaching up to the sky, always waving in the wind, always growing, always moving up. And so it's your nature to have this particular challenge. It doesn't mean that you're always going to be stuck, never making a decision. But as soon as you understand that there's nothing wrong with you, you have a lot of earth and you have a lot of fire warming your earth. So it's like, ooh, it feels good. You yourself feel good being earthy. And so why would I want to change who I am until you start to feel this discomfort? And so, so your two lowest are the ones across from you, water and wood. Water feeds wood's ability to do its job and make you take decisive action. And so the two things I would give you to do would be I don't know if you're sleeping well. This would be a little bit of is your sleep good? Do you get good sleep?
It's hit and miss. Sometimes it can be really good, and then sometimes, yeah, it's not so good.
Yeah.
Like, it very depends, I think, on my emotional state. I mean, it's like if there's no stress and anxiety, sleep's good,
Yeah.
if the mind is busy, it gets, like anybody, it gets tough sometimes.
Okay, so
I'd
here's
have really good sleep last night though.
okay. So here's a little activity, and maybe you and Carey, bring it to Carey, and maybe you can workshop this idea. So the thing that feels really good that soothes earth under stress is metal. Metal is clarity. It's a routine. It's something specific, and details. But going into metal, water, then wood, rather than going directly to wood because it's hard for you. It'll kick up stress. To go directly. So metal is structuring some very specific time in your day to do water. This water activity is tapping into the deep meaning that you want to leave, the legacy you want to leave this world. Like, what do you want? What do you want to give of your heart? What do you want people to learn from you? What do you have that you want to be able to say like, wow, I brought smiles to people's faces, or I created, or I contributed to a team that created a system that helped children read better, or, think about like water. Water is deep meaning. It's our legacy. It's the forever. So schedule a time to do some water. And then tap in, decide about your wood. Like, what am I just going to do? What am I going to try? Well, you decide based on what's the legacy you want to leave in this world. Earth holds on to too much information. Like, I'm not ready yet. I haven't decided. But water is just about what's one or two steps I can take towards leaving that legacy. So would is what's one or two things I could do? Well, if your legacy is about creating a reading program or like contributing to a reading program for underserved kids, like making sure more kids learn to read because of your efforts on this planet. Well, here's two things you could do. One, go onto LinkedIn and search for people you know who already do this, and dedicate to having 2 coffee dates over the next 2 weeks to get to know and learn from people who are already doing this. And so that's wood, and that gets you out of the earthy overthinking space by scheduling time to water your higher purpose, and then to wood, what are 2 things I could do just to start learning more or getting out in the world or start moving towards that decision.
If I can add to that, or not add to it, but really reinforce it in that, Michael, those are exactly the things that you felt, if I may, that you felt like you've been making as soon as you start to schedule, as soon as you start to do those information gathering that then includes a step. So those are the exact same things that Carey is suggesting, and those are the things that have you feel like you're actually going in the direction and having more clarity than you had before. So really, really good stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good luck, Michael.
Thank you for being so brave for those who came up to get coached. And thank you so much for Carey's insights, specific archetype insights that really, really provide value. So what I would like to do here in finishing up, I'm going to offer in the chat, you've got the links for Carey's beta program. This is a free program. You'll be able to connect with her and be able to do a little more on any of the app and the product that she's producing. You can be part of her beta. We have our link to our mastermind, and then also my Calendly link. If you want to reach out to either of us, you've got our links there. We're just going to finish today with a huge thank you and saying, we know that the work that you're doing on yourself is going to help you have the impacts that are positive to those that you serve and those that you touch. So thank you for coming on today. And we'd like to just wrap up with a little bit of a visualization. So when we do this, we're going to turn the lights down. You can get comfortable. We're going to stop recording. It'll be like a meditation visualization, and utilize some of these archetypes in our visualization and meditation for those who would like to stay on for another 5 minutes. And Carey, I'd like to let you say any parting words before we do our visualization.
Yeah, I would say in finding connection and balance, be gentle with yourself. We're all learning and we're all figuring it out, and be gentle with others when they trigger you. Do your best not to take it personally, because they're on the same journey we're on, and they're struggling too. If they're not speaking to you from love or compassion or empathy, they're struggling. And so find that, just tap into your heart.
So beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, everyone, get comfortable. We're going to stop the recording and throw some music on here. 1 second.